It's our last Friday without football, and we're celebrating by talking about football as UND gets ready to host both the Bison and the Jacks. How the Alerus Center is getting ready for that, and the Twins are back home. How many guys are going to still be on the roster? Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to we're almost done with July edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning in Sioux Falls. KNBN in Rapid City. And Inforum.com. Happy Friday, everybody. We've reached the end of the week. I mentioned off the top our last one without football because now we're under a week away from games happening. We're ready to rock and roll. Welcome to the show on this Friday morning. I'm glad you're spending part of it with us. We've had a busy week. Looking forward to the weekend. I've already been asked if I am attending the Fantastic Four. My movie tickets have been bought. 1 o'clock today, Century Theater. See you there. High hopes. For the nerd in me, this is a big one. As many know, and we've done our Marvel movie rankings, and hopefully we have to adjust after this weekend. I have high hopes for this one. This has been long in the works. They've done this twice over, and none of them have been good. The reviews, though, are trending in the right direction, so that's positive. The other movie this weekend, much more publicized maybe, especially in the sports world, is the Happy Gilmore sequel is out today on Netflix. And as someone who is, of course, a purveyor of sequels, it's anything that I like, normally they can't just do once. They have to go and make 17 more. I'm very trepidatious about this. This one it didn't need to be messed with. But Sandler has a deal with Netflix that he has to make a certain amount of movies, so why not do this? The first one is perfect, and when I mean it's perfect. We can have the debate on if Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore is better. Whatever. We can do that if you want. But the fact we didn't need a second one, and apparently every PGA golfer that you know of is in it. Scheffler's in it. Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, you name it, they're in the film. But what made the original so good is just Lee Trevino was in it, and he had no idea what he was signing up for. The guy who plays Shooter McGavin has literally made a career out of one role, which happens in Hollywood. Christopher McDonald is the guy's name, which you'd have no idea that's his name. He's Shooter McGavin. I don't know. I'll check it out. Well, sometime this weekend. I don't know what the reaction is going to be to it. They had Bob Barker in it. Adam Sandler him and Bob Barker knocking him out is hysterical. They had Vern Lundquist in it in the original. I think he's back. But that was the best part. They had Vern in the first one. The "Who the hell is Happy Gilmore" line gets me every time. It's fantastic. That's why I'm a little skeptical about going back into the water on that. We'll see. I'm interested if anybody else will watch it this weekend. I'm sure it'll be good for a laugh. But it just won't have, I don't think, the magic of the first one. But we'll find out. We got a lot to get to today. As I mentioned, we're getting ready for the weekend here. We'll chat a little bit on the Twins coming up as Cory Provus will join us at his usual 9:30 time slot this morning to discuss the Twins being back home after their road trip that went awry. They had a chance, frankly, as we talked about yesterday, to win the series in Colorado. Should have swept the series in Colorado. In fact, they lost 2 of 3, and then they lost 2 of 3 to the Dodgers. So a 2-4 road trip puts them in a spot now where the vultures are circling on this baseball team in terms of other teams trying to pick away at them before the deadline. We'll get Cory's thoughts on that coming up in just a little bit. The Washington Nationals are coming to Target Field. I have to imagine there's not going to be a ton of people at Target Field this weekend, especially now with the Vikings going again, and the Vikings have their first open practice to the public tomorrow. It might not be great at Target Field this weekend. We'll dive into that coming up in just a little bit as well. I mentioned also earlier this week I had a chance to go up to Bison men's basketball practice during the summer months. Teams are allotted 8 weeks for conditioning, some on-court stuff, instruction, weightlifting. They're in the middle of on-the-court stuff now. You'll hear from 2 of the new Bison out of the 10 that are on the men's basketball roster. That's coming up before we say goodbye this morning. But we'll start. We've made a habit of Friday mornings in the summer since the CFL season is going. If you watched last night, and I hope you did, we had another thriller in the CFL last night between Montreal and Calgary. Okay, these are not 2 teams that are bitter rivals, but the names you will know. We had former Vikings. We had former FCS All-Americans making plays last night in the CFL in a game that went right down to the wire. We'll pick it up. A guy that we've known forever ago. That's Vernon Adams from Eastern Washington fame. He's the quarterback of the Stampeders. Throws the touchdown and gets Calgary out to a 12-3 lead. Those jerseys are pretty sweet, by the way. Montreal, who we featured last week, had to rally to beat Toronto in a crazy game. McLeod Bethel Thompson is the quarterback, former Viking great, hits Travis Tice from the University of South Dakota for a gain here. That would set up this from Jose Maltos, a 57-yard field goal with a minute remaining. Montreal wins the game 23-21. So 2 weeks in a row now, Montreal has had comeback wins. McLeod Bethel Thompson, 30 of 40 for 280 yards and a touchdown for Montreal last night. Vernon Adams was playing quarterback at Eastern Washington in 2013. Remember, he was the first high-profile FCS guy to transfer. He went to Oregon. Remember that? 193 yards at a touch. Good for him. He's still playing pro ball. If somebody is somebody going to pay you to play, you keep doing it, man. More power to you. 193 and a score last night in the win. Travis Tice has actually made himself a really nice career so far for Montreal after his playing days at South. He was a really good player for USD over the last 4 years. But thriller last night to start things for the CFL weekend. We only have a few more of these before we got preseason NFL games to take our attention away. But we'll keep our eyes peeled on what's going on in the CFL. We're also paying attention to what's going down at the 3M Open in Blaine at the TPC Twin Cities. The 3M Open teed off yesterday. Our guy Tom Hoagie is really struggling right now. And this happens in golf where you can't hit anything. You can't make a putt. Can't keep it in the fairway. Yesterday was that. His round, as we'll show you, was going along pretty well. Here at the par 3 13th hole, which he excels at those. It's a really nice tee shot here. He was even on the day coming to this green, but it's just not working with the putter right now. That one was off the mark. Things blew up on him over the last 3 holes. The last 3 holes of his day, he went 16 bogey. This at 17 holes, rims out for a bogey there. He would bogey 18, shot 3 over par, 74 yesterday. That's one of the worst rounds there. Starting the day, he's tied for 145th at the 3M Open. So unless he does something crazy, he's not going to make the weekend. And as we mentioned briefly yesterday, the top 30 make the the Tour Championship on the FedEx Cup points list. He's currently 37th right now. I mean, he's in the playoffs. He's had a really solid year. It's the last, I'd say, month to 2 months has not been good. Missed the cut at the U.S. Open, missed the cut at the Open Championship. He tees off later today at 12:55. He's going to have to do something crazy. The part that's probably even more infuriating, because right now the projected cut line is 3 under. So he's going to have to shoot 6 under to make the weekend, which that's asking an awful lot. The part that's probably more infuriating for him is who he was playing with yesterday shot the course record. Adam Svensson from Canada shot a opening round of 60 yesterday. 11 under. The par is 71. Guy shot 60 yesterday. That's where we've got crazy scores going on at the 3M Open. So it's going to be an uphill battle. Again, he's going to have to shoot 65 just to play the weekend. Just, by the way, Svensson's round yesterday went out in 30, came home in 30. It's just, he made a birdie at 1, birdie at 4, birdie at 6, birdie at 7, birdie at 9, birdie at 10, birdie at 11, birdie at 12, birdie at 16, an eagle at 18. No bogeys on the card. That is a round. Now, the challenge always in golf is somehow to follow that up. And we'll see if he can do that today. But that's an update of what's going on down in the Twin Cities for the opening round of the 3M Open. And looks like an uphill battle for our guy, Hoagie. Last thing before we set up the show, mention the Twins are back home tonight as they'll take on a Washington Nationals team that is in last in the National League East. That would be something to write home about, but of course the Twins just lost 2 of 3 to the worst team in baseball in the Rockies last weekend. Washington is 20 games under 500. And to add to it for the Twins tonight, Washington is throwing its best guy. Mackenzie Gore will start tonight for the Nationals, who's an all-star. You look at his record like, well, wait a minute. Well, remember, everybody has to have one all-star. He's good. Lefty is 4-9. Again, numbers are to see. He's playing for a team that's won 40 games. It's 20 under 500. His ERA is what you look at, just over 3.5, a whip of 1.27 with 140 strikeouts and 112 innings. Zebby Matthews is back. He'll pitch tonight, mark of 1-2 with an ERA north of 6. They need Zebby to do. This is a series you got to sweep. And I still am not convinced, even if you do that, that it's going to matter in the long run in terms of maybe this team is going to make some major moves. We've talked about it ad nauseum this week about what potential that the Twins could have for the deadline, which comes on Thursday, week from yesterday, of who they could potentially put out there. Reading from the Star Tribune that things are trending for them to become sellers at the deadline, which that's no breaking news there. The pending free agents they have, and this is something we'll talk about more with Cory Provus here in about 20 minutes, is Willie Castro, Harrison Bader, Danny Kalum, the left-hander, Chris Paddock, Ty France, and Christian Vasquez. So those are rental players that you're not going to get somebody's top 2 prospects. You're just not. Last I had read yesterday, Willie Castro would get like a top 100 prospect. So just so your expectations are what they're at. The Star Tribune writes, the Castro should stir up interest because he's a switch hitter who can play multiple positions, as he's done for the Twins. He was an all-star last year. For contending teams looking to safeguard against injuries over the final 2 months of the regular season, Castro provides a lot of security with his versatility. He's having his best offensive season, too, with a 775 OPS and 10 home runs. Bader's been good. Bader's going to help somebody. I would imagine that they move on. There's a $10 million mutual option in his contract for next season, but it's rare those are ever picked up by both sides. Free agents after next year is Jeffers and Justin Topa. If you can get a bag of balls for Justin Topa, you do it right now. That trade with the Mariners for Polanco ranks up there with one of the worst. That was just a salary dump that the Twins did with Polanco. We'll be honest there. Jeffers would be intriguing. The 2+ years remaining. Now, these are the guys that the Twins have under control for a bit. And now that would be a haul back. Joe Ryan, Yohan Duran, Griffin Jacks, Brock Stewart, Trevor Larnach, and Matt Wallner. Star Tribune reports there aren't many top 100 level prospects traded at the deadline anymore, including 0 from Baseball America's list last year. That's a full stop. Just get your expectations ready then, Twins fans, if they do anything. But Ryan, Duran, and Jacks are the Twins who would command the biggest haul in return. Ryan's not eligible for free agency until after 2027, so you still have 2 full years. He's been great. But it'd have to be something to blow you away if you're the Twins. Blow you away. Stewart's been hurt, and that's what hurts him in terms of his value out there as a potential deal. But those are the guys, and we'll get into that coming up with Cory Provus here in about 15 minutes on any other guys that could potentially be going. And if there's anything they can do to avert this. It's not like they're completely out of it, but as we mentioned yesterday, the amount of teams they're going to have to pass is significant. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Friday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Mentioned Cory Provus will join us at 9:35 to give us everything on the Twins as they get set for the Nationals and then the red-hot Boston Red Sox coming in after that. At 10 o'clock, UND Deputy Athletic Director Erik Martinson will join us, discuss the plan on UND's new jerseys, the hockey jerseys we saw yesterday. Also, it's a big year for football up at UND. Obviously, we had Eric Schmidt on the show Monday, and we were in Sioux Falls at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Days. A lot of newness. Also, this is the home schedule you dream about if you're UND. You've got the Bison coming to Grand Forks, and you've got South Dakota State coming to Grand Forks this year. That's pretty tasty. We'll talk to Eric about what they have on tap coming up this fall in Grand Forks. As I mentioned also, before we wrap up the show at about 10:30, you'll hear from 2 of NDSU's newest men's basketball players in Max Marley and Tay Smith about how the transition has gone to joining Dave Richmond's roster. We'll do that before we say goodbye for the week. So that's our show lineup here on this Friday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. Already we were excited about the FCS going to 12 games, and the big boys are crowding in. We'll tell you about that and much more. Glad you're joining us. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Friday show off and rolling. Glad you're joining us here. Cory Provus will join us in just a few minutes. Looking forward to that. I got a couple of emails I want to get to on what we were talking about in our first segment. This goes back to the Polanco deal. Dom, can't call the Polanco trade a loss yet. Gabriel Gonzalez, who was the top 100 prospect at the time of the trade, is rising again after a disappointing 2024. He's 21 and producing a AA this season. All right, well, from an F, I'll go to a D. I'm lenient on a Friday. But one guy they literally traded for, Sclafani, whatever his name was, never pitched. He was hurt. They literally traded for a guy that was hurt and never pitched for him. Topa, I mean, John can find 8 highlights of him right now not being able to throw the ball from the mound to first base. That's happened at least 3 times this season. Trade is a loss. And it's not the first time that the Twins have traded for a guy who's hurt. Paddock's another one. They traded for Paddock, who got hurt, tore his elbow up right after they got him, for Taylor Rogers. And they got our guy Pagan out of that deal. How'd that work? He's now scaring Reds fans, the closer in Cincinnati. Another email comes in. Dom, have you posted the fall camp preview for the defense yet? I have not. If you missed that this past weekend, we did our previews for Bison football. We did the specialists and the offense. Defense is coming on Sunday. You can look for that at inforum.com. We'll have our look at the Bison defense, which we'll dive into fully coming up on Monday's show with fall camp starting on Wednesday for NDSU. So if you're looking for that, I appreciate the email on that. That's coming up on Wednesday. Two other things here. Saw this before we hit the air, and we know next year, 2026, that FCS teams will be allowed to go to 12 games, with the season starting a week earlier than FBS. Right now, the FBS schedule is slated to begin on September 5th, 2026. That's week 1. Week 0 for the big schools is the previous Saturday, which is August 29th. We already know there's one game scheduled for then, a game that's in Ireland, because Bill Belichick, if he's still there, is the coach of North Carolina. I believe they're playing TCU in Ireland. Well, I told you they would start to horn in on what the FCS wanted to do. Brett McMurphy reporting this morning that the University of Michigan will play Western Michigan in a game in Germany. That opening Saturday on August the 29th. That's what McMurphy is reporting. Michigan AD Ward Manuel said, "We're in advanced discussions to create this first-of-its-kind opportunity for our student-athletes and fans. The University of Michigan is one of the few worldwide brands in college athletics, and the interest in playing an international game would be unique. This would be a great opportunity to teach Go Blue to a new group of fans in Germany." So that's the report there, that the game would be against Western Michigan, slated for Saturday, August the 29th. There's the report there. So for FCS teams, it's time to get your butt in gear. Because if you were hoping somehow that, hey, we've got this day to ourselves, which actually they can start the previous Thursday. So August 27th, they can start playing football next year. And teams may. North Dakota State certainly could do that too, if they so choose. The TV windows are already gone for 2, because this game we're talking about right here, that I'm assuming Fox would get. The Ireland game is a ESPN game. If you're hoping, let's go. I mean, literally, we're just over a year out, and nobody has scheduled a game yet. I mean, we talked about this, I believe, on Wednesday's show with Drew, that we know there are teams that schedule games out. We had games out for like 11 years from now. Like 2036, there are games that are set for. But yet for next year, we got nothing yet. So just a word of warning for FCS teams that are hoping, hey, we've got this, and maybe we can have the games to ourselves and the days to ourselves. I wouldn't get the cart before the horse on that. Just something to keep our eyes peeled on that. Another email comes in. Dom, are you breathing a sigh of relief that Justin Fields is back? Well, if you saw the show yesterday, it was full 5-alarm fire at about this time yesterday, when report came out that the cart came out for the Jets starting quarterback. It was then revealed that I believe he was stepped on. He's got a dislocated toe. He's back at practice today, but he's not participating, which is probably the best news that they could have considering what happened. This is from ESPN, that he's back at practice today, but did not participate in team or individual drills the day after being carted off with a dislocated toe. Despite the scare, Fields seemed to avoid a serious injury. The Jets said on Thursday that Fields would not miss significant time, is considered day-to-day. He's expected to be ready for Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Boy, he better be, because I got bragging rights of the old man at stake on to start off the season, since they're playing the Steelers. And we can't go into the season with Tyrod Taylor. No offense, but we just can't. It's got to be Fields. It's revenge game with Justin Fields. Also, out of Viking camp yesterday, the big news there was that J.J. McCarthy threw a pick. I told you, everything's going to be scrutinized to the ends of the earth here. Harrison Smith picked him off. It goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier in the week, that how much are they going to let him play in the preseason? That he's got to get a little bit of run with the number ones. And maybe that's what the scrimmages are going to be against the teams that are coming into Minneapolis. Maybe that's what it is now, and they don't play in the game, which is all fine and good, but it's still game environment. There's something to be said about that. But you don't want to get anybody hurt. And especially, he's the guy. That's the catch-22 of this. That's why we're trending more towards preseason games aren't even going to happen. Although now with all the rancor that's going on at the NFLPA, who knows when 18 games is going to be brought up again. We thought that was imminent. Now there's some other things to be discussed there. But that's something is tomorrow when the Vikes have their first open practice for fans, certainly be under scrutiny there. We get back on Monday to dive into full on the first few days of Vikes camp and what's been going on with the purple. But that we're in that time of year where we're freaking out over every play, every alignment, every injury because it's football. That's the way it goes. And when the Bison start, UND start on Wednesday, doing the same thing there in the college stuff. Well, this guy was out of alignment, or this guy went down, or why isn't this one practicing? We'll do the same thing here. It's fantastic because people are thirsty for it, ready for it. We can't wait. All right, we'll break. We come back. Cory Provus will join us, voice of the Twins, as they get set to welcome in Washington. Who's still going to be playing on this baseball team? That's coming up when we return on this Friday morning edition of Hot Mic right after this.
Deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive. Left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it's Friday at 9:35. We get to visit with Cory Provus, voice of the Minnesota Twins on Twins TV. His appearance is brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins are back at home tonight to take on the Washington Nationals. Then the Red Sox come in after a road trip of missed opportunities against Colorado and the Dodgers. You were with us last week. You said if the Twins don't win that series with the Rockies, it's going to have to cause some decisions. They didn't, so here we are. We're 6 days out, and it seems like the vultures are circling on this baseball team right now.
And I think that, unfortunately, that Rockies series was kind of it. In terms of who they trade, they're going to make moves. And I just, this team will not be the same when we chat a week from today. Yeah. But I'm curious as to if they trade certain guys. I don't think the season's over. But if they move Joe Ryan, if they move Joan Duran, if they move Griffin Jacks, then I think, how do you honestly say that they're still looking to contend this year? There's just, I can't tell you that, to keep my credibility, I can't tell you that. But if they trade Willie Castro, if they trade Harrison Bader, if they trade Chris Paddock, Brock Stewart, Danny Coulomb, they certainly decrease their chances, Dom, to be a playoff team. But still, I think it's more about the guys they move in terms of where this thing goes. But the Rockies series, I thought, was pivotal. It just can't lose that series. Yeah. The Rockies had yet to win a home series all year. And the fact they won 2 out of 3, I think, pretty much kind of put the Twins in a spot where they have to be pretty active in selling off some assets here.
We had this conversation last year, and I read the story from the Star Tribune before you came on, and it caused my memory to go back just now that last year at the deadline, there were no top 100 prospects traded. So that, again, you have to, if you're a Twins fan, they go, we might get a haul back. You have to. Teams aren't doing that anymore, Cory, at the deadline, unless you got to be blown away by something or offer a Joe Ryan who's got multiple years of team control to get a haul back.
And I still think that the Twins, they're not looking 5 years down the road here.
Yeah.
And they have players right now that are in kind of this window to contend. So something we talked about, Trevor Plouffe and I, during the Dodgers series. The Dodgers have been renowned to have this great farm system. Fine. This year, and this is MLB.com, and this may be different with Baseball America, Baseball Perspectives, and Pipeline, all that stuff, but MLB.com 7 of the top 10 Dodger prospects, either A-ball or rookie ball. So if you make a trade with the Dodgers, you might be looking at guys that are 18, 19 years old that who the heck knows?
Yeah.
And they may impact your team 3 years down the road. That doesn't seem to fit kind of where the Twins are at right now. I think they're trading away some players that still can keep them relevant this year, but certainly built to contend again for 2026. I hope they don't trade Joe Ryan. I think Joe Ryan is an ace, and you have a healthy Pablo and a Joe Ryan. There's a 1-2. That's a great place to start. You've got a really good top of your rotation. You got a 1 and you got a 2. Great. And then build from around there.
Yep.
And for the Twins, forever drafting, developing, acquiring front line starting pitching kept this team back for decades. I mean, a long time. Well, they have something now. So don't just part ways with that just because the 25 season hasn't gone accordingly. The 25 season hasn't gone accordingly because too many players did not meet expectation, did not come close to preseason projections. So I just hope they don't just say, okay, we have to tear this thing down to the studs and start all over again. I don't think it's that drastic. And I would imagine that Derek Falvey and his team think the same way.
We mentioned this before as we're going to look at the Central standings. The Tigers have been moonwalking backwards here as of late. The Twins are 10 out. Are you still of the mindset, at least I am, that the division race is out of reach?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they can't look at that. They can't look at let's put all our chips in now because we think we can win this division, even though we have 6 games left for the Tigers. Detroit, I think has won only one time since the All-Star break.
That's amazing.
They have not played well, but Cleveland's played a little bit better. Kansas City's played marginally better. They picked up maybe a game or 2. But the fact that nobody's picked up 5 or 6 games on the Tigers, I think, is pretty telling in how sizable Detroit's lead. I'm with you. I think that going into this trade deadline, I think the idea of where we could slot in playoff time has to be more wild card driven than anything else. I think shooting for the division right now is a long shot.
So the wild card today, Boston holds the last spot, which is important because the Twins are obviously playing the Red Sox next week. They're 5 games back, but in front of them, they're 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. I mean, you got to start winning games, and you got to, in my theory, you probably got to sweep Boston if you're going to have a realistic chance here.
Well, even with Red Sox, if they win 2 out of 3, they win the season series.
Yeah.
Remember, the Twins won 2 out of 3 at Fenway back in May. So tiebreaker number 1 is head-to-head. So, and the Twins don't own many tiebreakers right now with the other contending teams. So that's on my radar a little bit, and why Rocco might chase some of those Red Sox games in a way that he won't perhaps this weekend against Washington.
Okay.
That if you're thinking about playoff time, remember the tiebreaker is the number 1 difference maker, that considering what the Twins did at Fenway earlier, have a chance to do again next week at Target Field, I think is important.
It's interesting to just how this plays out because it's always this is how I look at it, Corey. I'm not sure if you do. It's not necessarily the games back; it's the teams you got to leap over in the wild card. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, too many. I mean, you're right. I mean, if you're great, you might be only 3 out, but there's 6 other teams that might be in that same situation. So yes, I think there's some validity to what you said, Dom. That yes, in terms of numerical difference, it doesn't seem that drastic, but how many teams do you need to get help from in order to get to that spot? So that I think that certainly plays a big factor here.
And again, you can't take anybody for granted, especially what happened last weekend with the Rockies, because here come the Nationals, and the Nationals are in last, but they have their ace going tonight. Mackenzie Gore's throwing tonight, who's a lefty who's really good, and you got to start off with a win. This guy's going to be tough to hit against tonight.
He's really good.
Yeah.
And he was the key piece in the Juan Soto trade with San Diego and Washington a couple of years ago. He's really good, and I'm excited to see James Wood take BP at Target Field. He can hit. C.J. Abrams is a good player. He also came in that same Juan Soto trade. So Washington has some pieces. Get to that bullpen, though. That bullpen is not very good. Defensively, it's not been a great season. But, yeah, the guy tonight is no joke. And then neat on Sunday, Jake Irvin is going to throw. He's from Bloomington, Minnesota. Grew up a huge Twins fan. They saw him last year in D.C., but I'm sure he's going to have a ton of emotion and family and friends in town to see him pitch for the Nationals at Target Field on Sunday.
For people that haven't seen the Nationals play, and I understand why, because of the Nationals, but James Wood is the real, 6'7", right? I mean, he's a huge dude.
Huge dude, hits the ball 5 miles. So, yeah, he was in the home run derby with Buxton. Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a stud. He can really hit. And, yeah, that'll be a good challenge for Zebby and Ryan and everybody this weekend. We'll see what the Twins do on Sunday, because that was going to be David Festa's next term, but he's obviously out on the IL with a bad shoulder. But, yeah, Washington has some intriguing pieces. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but they fired their manager. They fired their GM earlier this season. So it's been some turmoil there in D.C., and they play in a brutal division that the NL East is just loaded with high payroll, high talent that you got to be all in. Otherwise, there's just too many big market teams that are spending and tough to keep up with that group, with the teams they see in that divisional, that division that they see all those games and all those series throughout the year.
Email comes in to ask Cory if I know you've seen Ohtani play in person, but to see him hit 3 home runs in 3 straight days and pitch, does that give you even more respect for what you saw this past 3 days?
He's the most talented player to ever play the game. Now, is he the best player to ever play? I don't think that's fair, because I think that Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, you can go down the list. They played in a different era, but they were also Hall of Famers, the game's all-time greats. But were they as talented as Ohtani? Probably not. I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say with what this guy can do. So I think he's the most talented player, but is he the best? I think that's more subjective, and I think people are entitled to their opinion. But what I saw and what we all saw was incredible. The fact that he homered off that Joan Duran, splinker 98 down and away, went left field at night, like no big deal. I mean, it's something else. And I know it led to a lot of debate about the decision Rocco made on Wednesday. I got it. It made sense to me, his explanation. And you've got a guy in Asturi Ruiz who hadn't walked all year. He's got 4 hits all year. He's known more for his legs than his bat. Just Griffin can't walk him. Just cannot walk him. And then Freddie Freeman was trouble. I think we all saw that coming. But I'd be interested to hear Glenn Perkins' take on that, because I didn't listen, but how he felt about that, being a closer himself and saying Ohtani's the best player in the game. We get all that. But are you telling me I can't get him out with the game on the line? Yeah. Griffin said as much, that he was a little surprised by it. I think he wanted that matchup. He's a competitor. But I get why Rocco did it, because I just didn't think Griffin was going to walk Ruiz there with the game on the line.
You just can't have that. We got another email we can get in here before the break, was because the minor leagues allow for a review on a check swing. What's the holdup on the majors to do that? Because obviously that was the whole deal with the Mookie Betts at bat that happened before that. Do you know if that's allowed in the minors right now?
I know they've been talking about it. Okay. I know they've tried it maybe in the fall league, but to my knowledge, that's not true.
Okay.
That it's not yet a reviewable play in pro ball. I know they dabbled with it here a little bit, and there's discussion that is going to be a challenge. You can review that play in the future, but you have to first come up with what is the definition of a swing.
Correct.
Because that's not, there's nothing in the rule book that says this is what the swing is.
Right.
What I learned from Bill Schroeder, longtime big league catcher with the Brewers and other teams, and he's been calling games on TV with the Brewers forever. His view of the swing is not so much the break of the wrist, but does the barrel cross the front of the plate. That's how he always viewed, to him, what a swing is and what a swing is not. And I've always gone by that guideline, but it's just my own and his own guideline. It's not in the rule book. But Mookie Betts certainly swung. I think however you define what a swing is and what it isn't. It was a call that obviously hurt the Twins, went against them, should have ended the game. It didn't, and we know how the rest of the story played out. But I think that's coming. It would, but to my knowledge, that's not yet a reviewable play in any semblance of pro ball.
Good stuff there. We'll break, come back, we'll look ahead to what the Twins have with both Washington and Boston, a couple other topics on baseball. With Cory Provus joining us, Twins and Nats coming up tonight. We're back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Back with Cory Provus. His appearance is brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. We got Twins and the Nationals coming up tonight. Cory was just telling me him and Denard Span will be on the call on Twins TV for the next 3 days. Got a night game tonight, night game tomorrow with Bailey Ober's City Connect jersey tomorrow night. And then that kids back to school backpack, that just makes me shake my head. Like, we're not ready for that yet, but that's coming up on Sunday.
It's coming. I know.
Not
it's
ready
coming.
for that yet. We look at it where the ball club is, and obviously I'm sure you've been asked about this a ton in any interview you do about what the deadline is. When you're down there, you interact with these guys. Is it a nerve-wracking time? What is it like in the clubhouse when we're so close to knowing there's likely going to be some moves happening?
You know who's most impacted by this are the wives. This is a nerve-wracking time for the wives and their family and the kids and all that stuff because of the unknown. And wait a minute, we were going to do what? We have this place here, and now we have to move somewhere else, but we don't know how long we're going to be there for. And then, kids develop great friendships with other players and their families. For the players, it's like, all right, it's a business, they get it, and they just, will pack up their stuff. And many of them are pretty pumped because they're wanted, and they're going to a contending team.
Yep.
And that's what I thought Gardy had this line, and he was so true that if you were rumored to be traded, that should be a good thing because you're wanted to join a contending team that would only enhance their chances to theoretically be better, win the division, win a playoff series, and maybe win the whole thing. So he always thought it was flattering when a guy was being discussed in the rumor mill about being dealt. But I think the players that they know who they are. I mean, I think they know where they're at, their contract status. They're well aware of their team situation. That for many of them, I think if they're traded, they shouldn't be surprised by it. But the impact that it has is not to say that it doesn't mean anything to them, but it really falls on their significant other's shoulders and their family in terms of how do we pack up and move on to the next and start anew. That could be pretty traumatic for some families, especially for families with young kids.
The first real big deal went down last night. Seattle got Josh Naylor from the Diamondbacks. The Mariners, we just saw a little bit ago. I mean, Seattle looks like, we talked about when they played the Twins, I think back in May, of how dynamite a series that was. This looks like an intriguing team to me, that Seattle could maybe beat somebody when we get to September and October.
I love their team, and they had the pitching, couldn't hit. And now they've got the big dumper doing just, amazing record-setting things behind the plate. And Julio Rodriguez is hitting home runs. Randy Arozarena, he's a Twins killer. He's killing everybody else right now. Dangerous team in a short series because Brian Woo's been awesome. Logan Gilbert
really good
the other night when he pitched and broke Milwaukee's winning streak. They've got arms, man. If they can get their starters back, and George Kirby throwing the way that he's thrown in the past, and the power they have in that bullpen with Andres Munoz at the back end, Seattle would not be, I think, a fun matchup for any team, no matter what seed in any short series.
Another email comes in to ask Cory from last week your appearance or your thoughts on being out of Coors Field for a team that's biblically bad to have the kind of attendance they had. It looked and sounded great on television. You were out there. Give us the atmosphere. It looked like it was fantastic.
No. What they had for those 3 games, they probably had over 115,000 fans for those 3 games.
Wow.
And a lot of Twins fans, which was great to see. And I think Twins fans that went will say, like, there's a reason why people go, because the ballpark's nice. It's a great view. Great food. It's a good size. There's a lot to do. You stay downtown, you walk to the park. And I know much is made about the right field that they have, and it's like a $15 ticket. And then I think you can get in 2 hours before the game, and every beer is, or not every beer, I think Coors Light is like $3 a beer. That's great, but I would buy it if that's the only section that is filled. I'd be like, okay, people just go and they hang out in right field. But that's not the case, Tom. You look in the grandstands, you look in the upper decks, and it is packed there. So it's more than just right field is cool. It's a fun place to hang out if you're in your 20s and 30s and you want to meet somebody and have a good time. I don't discount that. But the other areas of the ballpark are packed.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing credit to their fan base and to that city and to what that place offers, because it is really pretty. It is really something to see. And I think Twins fans that went there now, I think in 2 years, would be like, hey, I'd go back in a heartbeat. It's not that hard to get to. It's a short flight from here. And it's a really nice ballpark. And it's amazing that they show up in the way that they do, considering how bad they've been this season as a team.
Couple other things here. It's a Hall of Fame weekend. I feel old now that Ichiro's in the Hall of Fame with Billy Wagner and CC Sabathia, but you called all these guys. Is there a memory from any of those that sticks out of games you saw in person for any of those three?
Yeah, I mean, CC Sabathia, what stands out was when he was traded to Milwaukee in 2008. I was with the Cubs, but I got a chance to see Sabathia. He would start sometimes on like three days rest.
Yep.
I mean, he was willing that team, which I don't think the Brewers had been to the playoffs since like 82. I think they had this incredible playoff drought from 82 to maybe 2008. I think it was. So seeing Sabathia will that team and literally, like Kirby said, get on my back and I'll carry you. He carried that team into the playoffs, and I think they won one game against the Mets and then were knocked out. But seeing Sabathia firsthand in all the matchups the Cubs and Brewers had the second half, do what he did, man, that was something else. Watching Ichiro was a treat, and, hearing stories about him when Paul Mahler was his hitting coach and Lou Piniella was even his manager, hearing stories from Lou, especially about Ichiro, and, Lou would get on and be like, it's great you can do all this stuff the other way, but can you ever pull the ball? Can you hit the ball? And so Ichiro always knew more English than he let on to believe. And so after Lou challenged him one day, saying, like, can you pull the ball? He hit a home run, like his first at bat. And he gets back in the dugout. He walks up to his manager and says, happy? And then just kept on walking. So things like that. And then Billy Wagner, seeing, a left-handed power, dominant closer. Who I don't know if he ever said he was ambidextrous, but he could also throw a ball right-handed really well.
Wow.
I mean, he tells some great stories about, he would have some throwing contests with teammates, and, he'd say, like, I bet I can throw a ball farther than you can right-handed. And they'd be like, no chance. And he would do it, and he'd win a lot, too. So Pablo Lopez, by the way, he's pretty close in that, too. Pablo Lopez, seeing him throw a football, even just mess around with a baseball left-handed, it'll blow you away.
That's wild.
Blow you away. How good
awesome.
that is.
Great to see you as always, my man. Have a great call this weekend. We'll chat next week, okay?
Thanks, Dom.
Cory Provus joins us each and every Friday. His appearance is brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. We got Twins and the Nationals coming up tonight. First pitch a little after 7 o'clock at Target Field. It's a night game tomorrow, then a day game on Sunday to wrap up the series. We'll wrap up our first hour. We come back. Hour 2 begins. Erik Martinson will join us, UND Deputy AD, about a big home schedule and those new UND hockey jerseys. We'll chat about that when we start Hour 2 on this Friday. We're back after this.
Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Final hour of the week. Not that anybody's counting. I got to start that poll here. If anybody's signed up for Happy Gilmore 2 this weekend on Netflix. I love Sandler. I just don't know if you needed to mess with the original. The original is perfect. Our next guest is a perfect answer to that because I know he loves hockey. I'm sure he loves golf. And I know he's a busy man. UND Deputy Athletic Director Erik Martinson, busy man these days as we're on the doorstep of a new fall year, the new calendar year, ready to rock and roll and joins. All right, are you signing up for Happy Gilmore 2? Are you going to stream that, or what do you think?
Oof, I'm with you. I worry. I just don't want it to ruin. I do know that it's pretty star-studded, and they got some PGA Tour guys. We're a big PGA family in our house, and just watching a lot of PGA golf. So seeing those guys in there with like Will Zalatoris and Justin Thomas and Tony Finau, Scheffler, like that's kind of cool. So I'll be interested. But I'm with you. I don't want. Hopefully they don't mess it. Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3 are probably the only movies that I love that they kept going. They should have went with a 4 and 5, but outside of that, I don't think you should mess with classics.
Yeah, I'm of that mindset. I'm sure my curiosity will probably outweigh it, but I hope it doesn't ruin it. It's great to see you. We were just joking off air when I asked you how your summer went, and you gave me the typical answer in college athletics. What summer? Especially yesterday, the executive order comes from President Trump on college, pay for play in college sport. I mean, literally, it reminds me so much of 5 years ago of what COVID was, when literally it was something every single day. You're in college athletics. What is this like every day going in? Like, I have no idea what today will bring.
Yeah, I just think it's through a lot of conversations. You got to have great relationships, and you got to communicate to a lot of different people, and that's people across the country. It's people within the NCAA. It's people within your conference, people within your own school. A lot of general counsel, attorney general, a lot of lawyers speak. There's just a lot going on. But I think, with good communication, you just got to try to figure it out. Just like COVID, it was, all right, wake up and what's new today? What do we know today that we didn't know yesterday? And we're going to figure it out one way or the other. We will have games, we will have sports, and it's just trying to figure out what that all looks like. So the executive order yesterday, I think it's, President Trump saying, hey, I'm aware of this, and I think this is an important deal. And, with the SCORE Act, and then, the House settlement, even that's kind of changing. They're going back and forth, and there's still opportunity for that to maneuver a little bit with how, NIL go and just different pieces are being looked at. So we're just rolling with it, and I think we're in a good position up at North Dakota to kind of figure it out. We always say you don't have to be the first one to the salad bar to do things, but learn from others and see what others. I'm a big believer in R&D. You got to rip off and duplicate what you like from other places. So we're trying to pay attention and talk to a lot of different people, but it's great leadership from President Armacost and others that we're just trying to figure it out. Bill Chaves with his network around the country, and it's crazy, but here we are.
I know, Erik, I was visiting with a couple of ADs when we were down at Valley Media Day on Monday, that just informing the athletes about especially about the ones, the designated student athletes, the ones for the schools that opted in. How much has this just been, an FAQ with your athletes that are there this summer about this is what's happening? You're not going to lose your spot. How much have you had to do that?
Yeah, I mean, again, through the good communication, we have a great platform called Teamworks that a lot of other schools have that we're able to work through with the student athletes for all of our communication, but also just sitting down and just trying to be transparent as possible with, through the coaching staffs and through the student athletes. If they have questions, we're going to try to have answers. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just try to be transparent. We're not the only ones going through it, right? We're not the only ones at UND going through it. Everyone across the country is going through different pieces. So again, just trying to educate as much as possible. We have a great team with our senior staff, our compliance group, everything else that we meet constantly of just saying, okay, what have we heard? What do we know? And what do we need to do?
There are a few places that would get a headline story that new jerseys like Grand Forks would with the hockey jerseys. Tell me, how long has this been in the works in this process of developing what you unveiled yesterday?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, we knew we wanted to do another iteration of the jerseys and kind of do a refresh. So it's been in the back of our minds to just kind of change it up. I know, with our last iteration with the number on the front, we got to be very thoughtful when it comes to a retail standpoint. And when you have jerseys with a number on the front, it's really hard for retail. So that was one component, and just doing a refresh. Like, we're the University of North Dakota, we should be doing a refresh every so often, because we do know that we have awesome fans that want to wear our sweaters and wear them proudly. So been a while. And then just obviously the opportunity that when Adidas kind of said, hey, we're kind of going away from jerseys, our contract kind of came up with that piece of it, and we were able to split that off. Knowing CCM has been an awesome partner of ours for so long, we kind of looked at that as an opportunity to say, okay, we can use the refresh and the CCM piece, to our advantage, and really come out with some cool looking sweaters that I think are a throwback in a way, but also kind of a cool new look going forward.
So who do you involve in a conversation like that? Are the student athletes involved? Is this a totally an athletic department? Is it a group think? How does it work?
I would say everybody and anybody. I think everyone has input. You'd be surprised on the DMs that I get about, when you change the jerseys. So sometimes it's like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
What would you want? It's fun to ask the question and get feedback from anybody and everybody, from former players, current players, administration, retail, CCM as a whole. Dan Johansson, our equipment manager, he's done a phenomenal job of kind of stick handling a lot of those conversations, but it was really just a collaborative effort from everybody. Of what I remember, when you close your eyes and you look and you think, what do you think of when you hear the University of North Dakota hockey program, and somebody like, I know what I envision, and some of those jerseys have a little bit of that. But again, it's just trying to put the best product out on the ice and make it look cool. And I think we did that in a way of kind of giving it an homage to the past, but also making it pretty unique going forward.
Okay, what was reaction?
You know what? Someone said yesterday, if you feel like you've won the internet, that means you probably won the general public.
That's exactly right. Yep.
If you've teetered the balance on the internet to 50-50 or a little bit, that means general public probably is in favor of it. So I think there's always going to be, I love people can have opinions, people can say what they want. And I do think there was a lot of buzz and a lot of great excitement of just the refresh and just the new look. And it is fascinating. On some people say, I absolutely love the greens. Yep. And then the next person right next to them say, well, that's actually not my favorite one, or the whites are the best, or they better wear this one every game. So I love it. Like, jerseys are jerseys, right? Some people just like, what are we talking about?
Exactly right.
Jerseys, right? But then other people, this is what they live and die for. I know one guy, it was Christmas yesterday because it was his Super Bowl. So it's, it's pretty cool. People care. People are passionate, and that's one of the coolest things in sports, and that's what we love.
You know what? You want people to care, man. It beats the alternative if nobody cares about what you're doing. That's always what 100%. I would say about that. We certainly care about. We got football coming up. The opener with Kansas State. This is one that's been talked about for a while, Emar. Now that it's here, what are you doing for fans? What do you imagine for what's going to happen in Manhattan to start the season here in just over a month?
Yeah, it's coming quick. With the excitement with Eric Schmidt and his staff and just the new look, and guys are flying around campus, and we're ready to go. And I think, K-State's going to be a great test. A later in the evening game will be interesting. Guys, just kind of waiting for kickoff. But I think we're ready to go, and I think a new look is going to be fun. We're going to have some pre-parties, and we've had some really cool success with previous games. Iowa State, yep. Nebraska was a blast. Different games that we've played in the past have just, we have so many fans that want to travel and go to these games, and we just to see like our color green, that Kelly green pop out in stands. Even at Iowa State last year, it was just awesome to see a full section of Kelly green. So I think there's just really good excitement around that game, and then just going into kind of the home schedule. We are tremendous at home, and we play great at home, and there's a definite advantage at the Alaris Center, and we want to keep building that. We have a great game presentation team. We're going to try to blow it out of the water again for just like we did last year against Montana with that 6:00 game against Portland State, and do the fireworks and just kind of really get people excited to we want them to come back, right? Hey, have a great time, come back to another game. So we did a couple town halls and did some listening sessions with game times and how do we benefit, certain youth football is a great example of, there's a lot of kids in youth football up in Grand Forks. Well, it was pretty hard, sometimes to get to a 1:00 game. Yeah. So, you know what? Hey, go do your football in the morning and we'll try to push some games later in the afternoon. So we're going to try it. Like, we're willing to, again, get feedback and try some things. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes we need 1:00 games, right? And that's just the way it is. But we're going to do a mix of 6s, 3s, and 1s this year. And we're really excited. The tailgating piece it's always fun. Just the atmosphere piece, with the Bison coming to town and others. It's going to be a great season. And again, the excitement around the program has never been higher, and we're ready to see that product hit the field for sure.
I know we chatted last year. You had the 7 home games, how you guys were excited about that. It's always, to me, it's always who you got, and this is who you got. You got the good one this year because you got NDSU and South Dakota State coming to the Alaris. You guys got to be really, it's the end of the year, which they matter. Yeah. You want to be hoping they're mattering at the end of the season. How big a deal is that for your planning? Like, okay, we've got the 2 rivals coming to Grand Forks this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we see that on the calendar, it's super exciting to just say, okay, we got them at home. Let's take advantage. Let's do everything we can to put ourselves in a position to be successful. And that's not only with the coaching staff, with the student athletes, but also with our fan base and what we can do at the Alaris Center. The Alaris Center has been a a great partner of ours, with the OVG 360 group, their management group. It's been fun to kind of collaborate and just, find those little things that we can try to do, just make it feel like a big time broadcast. So super excited to have them towards the end of the season, and sometimes, the football and the tailgating, it's great when it's nice out. When it gets a little colder, people kind of tend to stay away a little bit. But I think with the excitement of those two big games at the end of the season will be awesome.
Well, to me, Emar, you always the old adage is, well, when hockey starts, they stop going to the football games. It really is test this year because both the Bison and the Jacks are in November, and obviously hockey's going. I'm really interested to see what – I hope the turnout is great because those are two big games that they pack the building.
Yeah, I think it can be it doesn't have to be an or hockey or football. I think it should be an and, right? And that's what we keep saying is you can do both, and there's room for both. And with the way the schedule has worked out this year is just awesome, and not really having much overlap. Between games and things like that. So I think you can. It is an and. It's not an or, and we're really excited about that. And that's again that important piece of get them excited early, get them to come to one game. We have a great group with Tamar Sales that really get them early, and then let's try to sell tickets, sell those people to come back, tell them to come back. And that's on us to work towards that. And we're excited to do that.
Last thing before I let you go, the feedback I got from people that have been up to the new softball complex has been overwhelming. The state tournament was there in May. What have you heard back? It looks fantastic. What's been the initial feedback in the few months that now it's been open?
Yeah, it's a tremendous facility. I get goosebumps thinking about it just from the way it started, and throwing it on a master plan and saying, hey, you never know, someone could see this and really fall in love with it, and you never know, right? And that actually happened.
Yeah.
We had a great generous donor and a great group with our developers just say, hey, let's make magic, and we did that with the field. And I tell you what, there's groups, there's baseball, there's a baseball tournament last weekend, there's girls softball, high school, youth. I mean, that field is getting utilized by the community and by the surrounding area just tremendously. And for our sake, I mean, I think it's just, there's not many times you can transcend a sport in a region. And I think we're truly changing the sport of softball with that facility because they can get on it at any point in time. There's lights. It's a beautiful scoreboard. So many things. I mean, that state softball was just unbelievable. I think, Dave Albrecht, Dave and Alexa Albrecht were awesome. They always say it's for the girls. It's for the girls. It's for the ladies. For them to be able to use that is just tremendous because there's just so much potential. We're looking at that summer softball team partnering with the Northwoods League that's coming out. We've kind of teased it a little bit, but to have something in the summer for Grand Forks, and softball's fun. It's fast paced. It's bat on ball. Things are moving. It's some of their sports get pretty long, but this softball with a pitch clock sometimes it goes. So it's a great entertainment, and the facility has been just tremendous. So we're excited about the future for that.
Well, you can go enjoy your weekend now since you won the internet with the jerseys, man. You can sleep easy after the announcement on that. I appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the last little bit of summer, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
Good to see you, bud.
Appreciate it.
Erik Martinson joining us, UND Deputy Athletic Director on this Friday morning. Big things up ahead for Grand Forks, obviously, with that home football schedule, which includes the Potato Bowl's a night game with Portland State, which that was the thriller with Montana last year. Remember the crazy comeback that UND had to win the game? That's a 6 o'clock kick there. And as he mentioned, they're messing with a couple of 3 o'clock kicks as well, which is interesting. Now, Valparaiso is the next home game on September the 20th. They have Youngstown State coming. Youngstown, by the way, has got to hate itself. They have to come to the North Dakota twice this year because they come to Fargo at the end of early November. I think it's right after Halloween, November 1. And then they have Indiana State as a 3 o'clock. And then the two biggies, the NDSU and SDSU games, are both 1 o'clock kicks. Television dictates a lot of that, but I think I would be of the mindset if they wanted to NDSU, that is, change it up a little bit. I think that might be receptive. That the night game last year, the Jackrabbit game on ESPN, was well received. If you do it once a year, just once, and I think that's enough for fans. Night games are fun. We'll break. We come back. Got a couple emails to get to. Of course, you're going to hear from two members of NDSU's men's basketball team coming up on our final segment as well. We roll on to this Friday morning Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Erik Martinson for giving us a few minutes here and low down on what's going on up at UND. Appreciate that. As we were doing our interview with Cory Provus, my Twitter feed was blowing up because, again, yesterday, if you missed the show, first off, don't have it happen again. Second, we are your uniform helmet leader. We were talking jerseys earlier. The NFL has had it nonstop. We had it talking about it yesterday on the show. Now that they were announcing, it's an announcement for an announcement. It's the dumbest thing ever. Just do it. But apparently the rivalry jerseys are a thing, helmets, whatever. This came out that all 2025 rivalries uniforms will be unveiled on August the 28th. So 2 divisions are getting it this upcoming year. That's the AFC East and the NFC West. So that is the New York Football Jets, Patriots, Dolphins, Bills, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, 49ers. Nobody knows what they're supposed to look like. If it's like what the baseball did with the City Connect, then just burn them now because none of them look good. 0 of the City Connect jerseys. Well, one. The Cubs one is all right. I begrudgingly say that because the Jackman likes them. But I don't like the Mets ones. I certainly don't like the Twins ones. The Rockies ones we saw last week. If it's anything like that, don't do it. Nike's behind it, so we'll see. I'm really interested to see what that entails when they drop them. That's, again, only football can you get away with. We're going to have an announcement about an announcement that's coming up down the road. I don't know. Just bizarre to me on that. All right, let's get a couple other things in here before we need to break. Scanning here. Email comes in. What's the rule on basketball being allowed to practice? Thought they had the summer off. Used to be the case, not anymore. That actually went into effect right during COVID. That was passed when teams are now allowed 8 weeks of off-season work. There's only a certain amount, I think it's 2 hours per week that they can actually have on-court work with the team and coaching staff. It used to be like you couldn't do it at all in basketball. That has changed over the last handful of years. So the Bison men are in it. We're going to actually check in with the Bison women next week during their practice. It's something I've been longing to do because you look at other markets that have, and frankly, I don't know why Bison basketball isn't a bigger deal around here. It just befuddles me on that, and I'm trying my hardest for a long time to make it. Hey, people should pay attention. The level of talent is really darn good, especially now the women's team is relevant now. For 15 plus years it wasn't. If you're talking like Wisconsin or whatever, Minnesota, they make their teams available during the summer to the media, and something I'm like, wow, we got to do this. And finally, we were able to do it. And if you missed our story last night, it's available on inforum.com. You're going to hear from a couple of the guys coming up in just a little bit. That this is, I think, for people to get excited about what's got going on, especially when you have the amount of change that Dave's team did. You have 10 new guys, and this is going to be commonplace going forward, that it's instructive to get a glimpse of what the team is going to be for next season. Don't know if they're going to be any good or not, but at least, hey, these are the guys that are going to be playing on said roster for next season. I think that's worthy of us talking about and us doing something more with. So that's coming up in just a little bit, but that's the reason on that. Also, if you missed it yesterday, Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, put out that they have to make a decision, I guess, by the fall on what's going to happen with the expansion of the tournament. We thought it was going to go down a couple weeks ago. They made no decision, and now here we sit on July 25th with this is the deal. Charlie Baker said Thursday that he thinks a decision on whether to expand the NCAA tournament will be made, quote, sometime this fall. making it less likely it would impact the 2026 men's and women's tournaments. The tournament has to start after the conference championships are over, he said. And right now, Selection Sunday happens like 2 hours after the last tournament game ends and has to finish by the Tuesday before the Masters. There's not a lot of room there. Any expansion, we're going to have to figure out how to put it in and then logistically how to make it work. Baker previously told Yahoo Sports, which first reported the diminishing likelihood of an expanded NCAA tournament for the upcoming season, that a decision would need to be made by August in order to take effect for the 2026 tournaments. That window, again, if you're adding, they're going from 68 to 76. I mean, you're going to play games on a Tuesday in the middle of the day then. Under that framework, if they have to be done then, that's what you got. I don't know what the viewing audience is going to be for then. For people tuning in on a Wednesday at 2 o'clock on True TV, you've got, 16-12 Vanderbilt taking on 17-13 Penn State coming up next. But what? If you tell me there's an overwhelming desire for that, then great. Now, if it was, and I'll say that if it was, you're going to get some of the mid-majors to play. If you're going to have 25-5 IUPUI, I know they're not called by that anymore, right? Taking on 26-3 High Point. All right. But put that game at prime time. Those teams never get national television exposure. That's why it just doesn't, it's never made sense to me. And that's if under what he just said, we have to have the tournament start right after Selection Sunday and has to finish by the Tuesday before the Masters. Any expansion, we're going to have to figure out how to put it in and then logistically how to make it work. The only way you make it work is you play games during the day, because you don't want to have it anymore where there are games going up against one another. Like, you want to have them available for people to watch on 4 different channels like the main tournament does when it starts. I don't know when else you're playing it. That's the catch-22 of it. That's why you probably shouldn't do it. Just keep it at 68. It's fine. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll cut up now. We come back. You'll hear from a couple of new members of the Bison men's basketball team. 2 of the 10 new members of the team. That's coming up on the other side of the break. Final half hour when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour of the week, getting ready for everybody opening up training camp. They have welcome back weekend tomorrow across the NFL. The first open training camp practice for the Vikings is tomorrow, which we'll get a ton of people for that. And we'll, of course, have coverage of that coming up over the weekend on the news and get you ready for that when we get back on Monday. The anticipation, of course, that we're on the doorstep of a new Bison football season, that they open practice on Wednesday. Excited about that, and we'll get you fully covered on that. And the countdown really is on. Today we're standing 36 days out. 36 is it from the season opener at the Citadel. So, yeah, it's right around the corner. Once we get going with football, that means basketball is right around the corner as well. We were up on Wednesday, up at the Shield Center as North Dakota State's men's team was out practicing. And again, it's been an off-season of change. I think we've had, of the 10 new players that are on the Bison roster, I think 7 or 8 of them were on our show when they made their announcements official about them transferring to come to Fargo. And this is nothing new for what anybody is dealing with now in Division I basketball. What is of note is the 5 returners that are back for Dave Richmond's team, led by Noah Federson and Damari Wheeler-Thomas, who missed all of last season with injury. Andy Stefanowicz is back. The big man, Trayson Anderson, who played sparingly as a freshman last year, and Carson Smith, who redshirted last year. He's Craig Smith's son. That's the 5 guys that are back. NDSU also, lost 3 guys to graduation, most notably Jackson Money graduated. Luke Kasupke and Mason Miller were the 3 that were out of eligibility. They lost to Javis Miller, the 6th man of the year, went in the portal. They lost Jakari White, who had one more extra year to play because he spent one of the division at an NAIA school or a non-Division I school, so he could go transfer. He did that. He's at Virginia. There are a host of other guys that decided to move on. Derek Doucette is playing now at Minot State. Patrick Bath playing at Concordia St. Paul. Guys that decided to leave. Jeremiah Burke is playing at Denver. Guys that didn't have a ton of minutes, maybe didn't see their roles expanded, decided to use the portal and move on. And so Richmond and his staff went to work and brought in a mix of guys. There's a handful of guys that have played Division I ball. Some have played junior college ball. Some have done both. There's a couple of international guys. They were not at practice the other day. They're still playing overseas. Emil Skuta and our Icelandic guy still. Berker A. Thorson. I'm going to get it down before we get to November and the games start counting around the roster. But we had a chance. You're going to hear from Max Marley and Tay Smith, who I interviewed on Wednesday. Each of them have played a ton of basketball. Marley started his collegiate career at Central Michigan, played there a couple years, spent last year at junior college at Pima Community College before transferring to NASU. Tay Smith spent the first 2 years of his career at NAI school in Kentucky, then spent the last 2 years at Lenore-Rhine. So he's played 4 years of college basketball, not Division I, but he's pretty pumped about that. So here's my conversation with Max Marley and Tay Smith.
Awesome. It's been everything I imagined and more. So I think Fargo's great. I think the school is great. Basketball, of course, is great. It's been awesome.
Tell me about integrating with the guys. And has it been seamless, or has it been this is when the work gets done of what you want to accomplish come November?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about here is like none of us really knew each other besides the returners. And as soon as we got here on campus, it already felt like a brotherhood right away. And I think that's something that's going to bring a lot of energy towards the season. And it's going to show during the season how comfortable as a group as we are. So I think, yeah, just like came in as a family already, and I think that's just going to be big.
In fact, you've played college basketball before. It's not your first rodeo. How much does that help in a situation like this?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Just having that maturity in here, knowing I'll be one of the older guys, being able to help the younger guys who are freshmen, and just knowing like what it takes to win, especially being on a good team last year, learning what winning was a little bit. Something I can bring towards here and help everyone else as well.
Is a leadership role something you're natural to? Is that something that takes some used to that you have to adjust to?
I think I've always been a little bit of a leader. I think I like to speak a lot, I like to talk to my guys, so I just like to help them out in any way I can. So I think that's something that's kind of just natural towards me.
For the returning guys, how much of that have they helped you about this is what Bison basketball is?
Oh, a lot. I mean, all the returners are great people, great kids. They really taught me like everything in such a short amount of time too. So I feel like I've already been here for almost a year already, and it's only been a couple of weeks. So the returners are great. I mean, they've done everything.
So like being back in the gym, like it's basketball. This is all you have. School's a little ways out, that it's basketball 24/7 right now.
It's great. It's like summer camp, but like just college summer camp. So it's awesome.
What are you accomplishing here? Is it about stamina, strength, and shooting? Like, is it all three, or what? Is there anything in particular you want to work on?
Yeah, I think it's all three. I mean, getting stronger, improving everything in part of my game. Like you said, stamina, shooting, just all the little things. The weight room, we've been really, really productive in the weight room, so that's been awesome. It's nothing like I've seen before, so it's great. And, yeah, just working on everything I can.
I was going to ask about, I guess, the newness. So you answered that with the weight room. What about it is that different than the previous stops you had?
Yeah, I'd say it's just attention to detail and the amount of coaches we have in there watching us. I mean, since I've been here, I've put on like 5 pounds already. I'm already pushing weight that I've never done before. So, I mean, it's just like I said, it's attention to detail and just making sure all the little things are right to just have good habits.
What do you want to have done by the time school starts in your own mind? With getting, do you have any own personal goal before this was done?
I think my goal is just to get 1% better every day. And I mean, that's just been showing. I think if I get 1% better every day, by the time season starts, I'll be as much better as I was than when I started. So, I mean, that's just the goal for me.
My last thing, Max, were you paying attention to after you committed to the other guys that were coming in? Mark Heisier, I know you played with before. So is that something after you were signed that, okay, who else is coming in?
Yeah, of course I was looking at what else is coming in. So Mark Heisier played with my dad, so that was pretty cool. Yeah. And he's one of my roommates now, so it's kind of like a cool connection. Full circle. Yeah, and then Emil Skuta, one of our new guys, he was my roommate freshman year. So it was cool seeing him again. So, yeah, of course. And then actually – Trey Carson was in the same JUCO tournament as I was. So it's cool how everything comes together. And I love the group we have. They did a great job recruiting, and it's awesome.
Just another reminder how small the world college basketball really is, that you're not that far removed from knowing 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's wild. It's awesome.
All right, so when we talked, you just committed. Now it's reality. Tell me about being here and how the adjustment is going.
The adjustment's been good. I got great teammates, great coaches around me to help me adjust. It's been nothing but fun, hard work, and just competing out here. Just nothing you can ask. You couldn't ask for more.
Describe. It's one thing to talk, one thing to come. Now you're out there on the floor. Does it feel like, okay, Division I, finally it's here?
Yeah, it feels good to be here. Worked a long time to get here. Feels good. My teammates helping me out, coaches helping me out, and it's just been a good adjustment.
I know we talked when you committed about your experience level. How much you banking on that? Granted, I know it hasn't been here, but you play college basketball, that you can be a leader on this team, the fact that you've played a lot of college hoops.
Yeah, my experience of being able to play a lot of college basketball is going to help me a lot here. I know how to work hard, know what it takes to put in the work. I know how to be a good leader. Being a captain at my other schools, just being able to come in here and be led by the captains here, and also be another person to help lead when it comes down to it.
I talked with Max. I asked him what was new or different about this stop than previous. He said the weight room, the strength program. Anything stand out to you about this is different than other places I've been at?
I would have to back him on that. The weight room is a little bit different here. They know how to modify when you need to be modified, and they know how to push you and get the best out of you. Without this weight room, it'd be a challenging time for us, and they just help us out tremendously.
How much of the returners, the guys that have been here, have they helped you in this transition?
A lot. They set a good example for us. They always go first in all the stuff that we need to do. Just set the tone, keep the pace, and they just are a good role model for us.
What is this like where it's 24/7 basketball? Is this a dream? Like, this is the summer is to get obviously ready for what's to come, but right now it's just all hoops. Describe that.
It's amazing. I love this game. I love the sport. Being able to be in here and compete with my brothers every day and be able to get better, even on our off days we're in here. And I just think that's what it takes to be great.
Is this where the real team bonding from your past experience, it happens now, it can't happen in October?
Yeah, the more that we bond now and the chemistry that we grow here, it helps later on in March and stuff where we're trying to be at the end of the season. So I think it's good that we're here and we have this time and we're just keep building every day.
Have you noticed any characteristics yet? I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but any traits about this team that stand out to you?
We're tough. We're tough and we stay together. Coach preaches that to us all the time, tough and togetherness. And that's what we stand on. We have each other's backs here, and we know that in order to be successful, we need to back each other up, but also push each other as hard as we can.
What's been your initial impressions of Coach Richmond out here?
He loves the game. He's very passionate, so it comes across as tough love, and that's what we need, honestly. We need a coach that's going to push us and have the passion that we have. That's how we're going to be successful.
Has this been what you were promised so far?
It has been, yes, sir, and I'm ready to see what else comes with it.
That's a conversation we have with Max Marley and Tay Smith. That was good stuff. We know for Bison Hoops, in terms of schedule-wise, they will make their debut October the 16th against the University of Minnesota down at Williams Arena. Then the following Thursday, October the 23rd, they will play a home exhibition with MSU Moorhead, which I believe Dave and Jason Kemp told us exclusively on the show that was going to happen. So we will get Bison Dragons to happen again. It was a dynamite game last year. We know the players that left with Tim Bergstrasser to go to the University of Denver, but that will be a highlight game on the schedule. Again, it was one of the most well-attended games last year. It should happen again. After that, not sure yet, home opener date. We know November the 17th, the Bison will play Southern Illinois at home, and then November the 19th, they'll play the University of Jamestown again. Of course, now Jamestown is a Division II school, so that's one of the, and they'll have the 3 non-counters again. I'm still working on the other 2, but I know that one is for certain locked in. And we know one other non-conference home game. That's from the Big Sky Summit League Challenge that comes up in early December. The Bison men, I believe, are getting Northern Arizona at home this year on December the 6th, and they'll go to Montana on December the 3rd. So that's what we know so far on the Bison men's basketball schedule. But there's excitement around that. I think knowing full well the change in the league, new head coach at South Dakota State, new head coach at Oral Roberts, certainly new players up and down the league. Can Omaha repeat what they did last year? St. Thomas is eligible now. Adds to some real intrigue of what the Summit League men's race has on tap for us coming up next season when it officially tips off coming up Heck, they start practice end of September, so then we're playing games not long after that. Looking forward to it. Okay, we'll take our final break. We come back, we'll wrap things up and get you ready for not only a great sports night, but for the one viewer that asked, a great sports weekend. We'll tell you what's on tap, and we'll get out of here. Hot Mike wraps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here for the week. If you missed any of that's a great guest. If you missed anything we did Monday in Sioux Falls, our 2 shows we did, you actually got 6 days of shows out of 5. So if you missed any of that, it's all podcast. You can watch our shows back as well on WDAY Plus. Some great stuff there to get us ready for the college football season. So we had a great guest lineup this week, some really fun guests. So if you missed any of that, podcast it always. Listen at your heart's content this weekend to get you ready for what's to come. Now, we've started the show talking about big movie day, leaving here. I'm wearing my blue here for the Fantastic Four because I'm going to go see it later today. Also mentioned that the new Happy Gilmore movie is streaming, Happy Gilmore 2. Apparently, I know the Red Hawks watch the show because they just put this tweet out. I had no idea this was going to happen, that next month, one Shooter McGavin is coming to Newman Outdoor Field. And look at the video. He actually says he's introduced himself as Shooter McGavin. His name is Christopher McDonald. See, like he says, Shooter McGavin here. He'll be here on Tuesday, August the 26th. I'm trying to think of one actor that has lived out on one role so well. Outside of that guy. And he's a great villain. Tremendous in that movie. I'm not sure what. Again, I'm very skeptical about the second one because they've waited so long to do it. And then normally when you wait, like, if anybody saw the Independence Day sequel, that was horrible. That was terrible. And they waited, nearly 30 years or 25 years to do the sequel to that. Independence Day was perfect. It didn't need to have another one done. It's the same with this example. But apparently, Shooter McGavin is coming to town with the Red Hawks coming up on August the 26th. So right before school is back in session, they're going to have old Shooter here. So something to keep on the calendar for coming up down the road. We'll see. I'm not sure what the interest level will be, but it depends on how the movie does. Probably is maybe the best way to describe that. Let's see. A couple other things to get to. Dom, tomorrow, the Vikings. Yeah, the Vikes go tomorrow in the afternoon for those that are interested in that. I don't know if it'll be web streams or anything like that, but that's the first open practice for the Vikings will happen tomorrow to get them off and going. They've had a couple days. They'll have another one today, and then pads don't come on till Monday, if I remember right. That's the schedule for the Vikings getting underway at training camp down in Eagan. Looks like it's going to be plenty hot and humid, which is typical for, you want that in training camp. That's always been the staples of getting ready for the start of the season. That's coming up this weekend. Again, Twins coming up tonight. We'll feature that in What to Watch here in a minute as they get set for the Nationals for a 3-game set. We'll come back on Monday. Let's see what happens. I'm of Cory Provus' mindset. If you're going to do it, make the move now. Don't wait around. If you've got a willing partner, let's go. Don't wait for either somebody to get hurt or somebody else to sneak in and make a better deal. If you've got something that's on the table, make it happen. We'll see what the roster looks like on Monday. Okay, we're going to do What to Watch, not just for today, but for the weekend. Let's do it. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate their sponsorship of not only this segment, but of course, our entire show. All right, tonight, Nationals, Twins. Note the start time, 7 o'clock on Twins TV for that one. Mackenzie Gore throws for Washington in the opener of that series tonight. That's the supposed ace for the Nationals. We'll see how the Twins fare against a series that Washington's in last place. But again, ask me how it went last weekend when they faced the worst team going. Minnesota will counter in their game tonight with Zebby Matthews. Aces and the Lynx, 6:30 on Ion tonight, and the 3M Open rolls on 3 o'clock, second round on the Golf Channel. Also on Fridays, we do for the weekend as well. The Brickyard 400 is this weekend, Sunday at 1 on TNT. The final round of the 3M Open will hit you Sunday at 2 on CBS. And Saturday night on Fox, you got Dodgers and the Red Sox. That'll be fun coming up from Fenway Park. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Cory Provus and Erik Martinson, to Max Marley and Tay Smith. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the weather, and we'll see you back here on Monday.